Greetings! This is Top Tier Tips! Greetings everyone, Force Nature here, back with another guide. This time we're going to be looking at the dragon himself, Jann Lee. What is there to say about him? Dude's badass like Bruce Lee. Enough said. Anyways, let's just go straight into the general gameplay focus. Alright, Jann Lee's gameplay revolves around his versatility as a character. Like, he's able to play at any range and apply pressure in like pretty much all types of situations. His biggest strength is having a tool for like any sort of like situation that you may be in. However, this does occasionally mean that you have to take risks in some scenarios to get the most out of his tool set. So that means that if you're trying to play him in a kind of like in a more aggressive fashion, then you do have to be careful of some unsafety on some of his moves. Alright, before I go on, I do highly recommend before you really do anything with Jann Lee to check out both his command training and his combo challenges. Right now I'm just in the free training mode. For here, certain tools you can have to help you out is like here the move list. On the left side would represent Jann Lee, and if you were to set it to the right side, that would end up featuring like the second character here, such as Ayane. So these type of tools are generally really helpful. There's also during free training you can also use the move list. So you can put on like the left side, the right side for your opponent, or you can have both of them on at the same time if you want to like check both characters of moves. Just leave it off for right now. I also want to throw out another disclaimer that if I end up saying anything in this guide that you may not understand or might make you go huh, then I definitely recommend checking out my other guides to see if you can find any answers to your queries. Alright, let's just get straight back down to it. Alright, looking at Jann Lee's close range pokes and just close range techniques or anything like that. Alright, just to start things off, I'm going to be slapping on the move list here, just Jann Lee, so you can kind of just see what moves I'm referring to. Alright, the first thing to take note is that Jann Lee has a 10 frame jab, 11 frame 6P, and a 13 frame 2P that also happens to be -1 on normal hits. Like if you were to take a look right here, so you have your jab, your 6P, and your 2P there -1. Alright, so for strike speed, that is really good. I mean, 10 frame jab, having an 11 frame mid also does 18 damage, meaning it will out prioritize attacks to do 17 damage. It's pretty damn good. And another thing also with Jann Lee is he does have access to one of the few, I think only 2 jab strings or 3 hit jab strings that where the 3 hits could jail on block. For instance, like right there's a single jab, but if you do, see if you do us all 3, all these just jabs on block, so that when an opponent blocks it, they have no choice but to block this. And of course you have follow-up. You have follow-ups after too. So right there, so that does make his jab string really nice. Alright, so other things to keep in mind is is that now onward to Jann Lee's 6P. Like this move right here, you know already that it's 11 frames, it's 18 damage. It does have quite a few follow-ups. Like if you can get a stun on an opponent on like a counter hit, then 6PP is nice. If you want a safe follow-up and a knockback move, this is personally one of my favorites. 6PK, it's a nice one. You got your low. If an opponent is really paying attention, and especially like for instance if they block the first hit, then the second hit can be reactable. But if you're mixing in this and delays like on 6PP, then the opponent you can sneak this in as long as you're just making them respect that 6PK, then you shouldn't have any sort of like, then you should be able to have something to worry about that. There's also a stance transition you can do after this, 6P4, which goes in the dragon stance. Has various moves in it. Although, I mean, like, you have like mild kind of a mix-up potential, but this stance is better, for instance, if you like score a counter hit in 6P, then the opponent has to correctly hold to get out of it. You even have a critical burst out of it. Well, that would be a critical burst attack if you end up getting threshold maxed out. So, yeah, that's just a little on the dragon stance. Alright, also, yeah, I mentioned about 2P. Well, yeah, if you hit it on counter hit, then it knocks the opponent back a fair bit and you get +4. But on normal hit, just -1. Alright, so I'll just let you know just some other kind of pokes you can use up close, like during the neutral game or in general like that. You have stuff like, let me slap this back on, like 4PP. You can go into Dragon Stance, it has multiple hits. Right there, that's 4 PPP, but you generally just want to do the first two of the 4 PP. You have 4 KK. That's a delayable follow-up for a flop bounce or a flop bound. There's also a 6K. Yeah, on normal hit, that's not really much of anything, but again, this one is for trying to score a counter hit. Like right there, it's a 13 frame mid kick, gives you plus 36 lip stun on counter hit, so that move is pretty nice. Normal hit, you're left at -4, so yeah, you do want to score a counter hit. At 13 frames, it's alright, not that one, but at 13 frames, it is nice for interrupting if you want like a mix-up as opposed to just doing 6P all the time. There's also a 1K. Kind of similar to like Kasumi's 1K. 20 frames gives you a +14 advantage on normal hit. Has tracking ability, which is nice. 1K, so I will just give you a little like heads up. In general, Jann Lee's low game in itself is not necessarily the strongest, but yeah. But if you can get your opponent to respect his mids, then you can sneak in stuff like 1K or 6B 2K. But still, 1K is still a decent enough low. With +14, you can use your 6P or 6PP follow-up. And of course, 60K if you want to knock him back, like that. Alright, so and another move also you can kind of use in neutral is a 6P. This is another one, as you can here see on normal hits you do get +3, but this one I do generally prefer it on counter hits. You look at that, you get a nice +33 kind of a nice +33 stun after that if you get it on counter hit. But whether on counter or normal hit, 9P is a nice tracking 14 frame high attack. Alright, gonna be moving on to Jann Lee from long range, so like so we're gonna be taking a look at his long range pokes and techniques. Alright, I'll say that Jann Lee arguably thrives the most in this department, being around like mid range, long range, or further out. Like, so basically, if you're planning to play Jann Lee, then your keep out's gonna be your friend. Alright, so with Jann Lee, you're gonna be able to control range, check the opponent's approach. So that means that if you're kind of zoning your opponent, you're keeping them out. So if they end up coming at you, then you have the tools to kind of keep them away. So stuff like the 6K, other stuff like that is like this one's actually this move is pretty like general purpose for me. I mean, there's a 6BK version, but just raw 6K is really solid. The thing I like about this move is that you can use it as either like approach or keep out, and it's only like there when you knock back, it obviously blasts opponent away. But if they block it, you're only -4 on block, so you're completely safe from punishment. If you can somehow get it at tip range, I'm not sure if I can do this. Then it's only -3 if you can get it around tip range. So 6K is just it's a great kind of whiff punishment or get in, like whatever kind of tools. Other like pokes you could use like around around like long range is stuff like 3K, 4K has a follow up also. as an extra punch. You only really need to use 3K, 4K for poking purposes, and also something similar. This is K, 4K, so you have your mid, and high mid. Both have that at follow-up. I also showed you 4 PP or like 4 PPP. This tool, there's a bit of delayability on it, so you can use it at a little bit of a range to try and to see if you can see if you can kind of clip or stuff the opponent in some way. So 4 PPP is also another tool you can use, but another long range tools to keep in mind is stuff like 6BK, his critical burst attack. This move gives you a nice juicy little stun on normal hit. You get plus 25, has a follow-up too. And the follow-up on there is I like it also. So it gives you a little plus 2, so yeah, it's always nice to have a critical burst attack also as a follow-up, but right there it's just you want that juicy stun, so whether you get the critical burst or not, 6P is a nice move. I showed you also from close range. You can also use 9P, as you can see right there. It can also transition into his dragon stance. So this is another nice quick poke. If you end up seeing, if you don't go into dragon stance, it only has 15 recovery frames. So what that means is that the block stun or whatever is really short on this move. As you see right there, it's only -1 on block, so you can like. You can end up trying to sneak in like a jab or something if you think the opponent's gonna retaliate with like a mid or something, or retaliate with something slower, then you can, if you get a block, you can just like jab or like punch, or even 6P depending on the speed of the character. So yeah, so 9P is a nice move. There's also 1P right there. It's a nice little low poke, -12 on block, so it is unsafe. But this, as you see right there, it's got a follow-up in 1 PP. So yeah, so right here is a nice. This is basically going to be your low poke to keep the opponent in check. You have 6 H+K right here. A high kick, another attack that can go into dragon stance. Gets a knockdown on normal hit. So it is a little negative if you do get it blocked, but if you're just using to check the opponent's, it comes out reasonably fast at 15 frames. So 6 H+K is a nice move. And this move right here, on normal hits it might not seem like much, but during stun, like for instance, during stun, that move actually can be pretty dangerous. Like we saw right there, it can cause a limbo stun or a crumple stun depending on the stance. So right there in open stance, but if you hit him in closed stance, which is, just take this off. But if you can hit them in closed stance, then Jann Lee keeps moving his feet around a lot. If you get the limbo stun, which can allow you for like guaranteed follow-ups. So basically, as you can probably guess, Jann Lee requires a certain amount of proficiency in your kind of fundamental game, in the fundamental department, to kind of be effective as a kind of ranged poke and keep out type character. So yeah, so at first it might feel a little like awkward doing that if you're not accustomed to playing like footsies or anything like that. But once you get used to Jann Lee's toolset, he works really well as kind of a ranged keep out character. Like the more patient you are, the better. But really, just have some fun with some moves like that with like 666. All right, moving along to Force Text. All right, there aren't many situations or setups where Jann Lee can make use of Force Text. However, he does have a lot of moves that will hit grounded opponents. Like I can show you some examples right now. So there's like 1P, 1K, and this move right here, H+K. However, another thing you can also use for Force Text is 4 PP, as you can see right there. the first hit can hit grounded opponents. So right there is another option. The thing that can make Jann Lee's Okizeme game scary is the fear of his Dragon Gunner. This move right here is a pretty dangerous offensive hold that nets him plus 25 frame advantage, and his mids such as like the aforementioned earlier 6 PP can become quite dangerous in Oki situations. Alright, moving along to the guard break and frame advantage game. For a character of his weight class, Jann Lee has a lot of hard-hitting guard breaks at his disposal. For instance, 214P ends up becoming a +2. I'll just slap this on to let you see. As you see, 214P becomes a +2 low crush that works best in poking situations. A fully charged 3-3P gives him +12. But it's better used in like a heavy stun situation when your opponent like a lift stun or with a deep stun. PPP, like I remember told you this jab string earlier. So if you do PPP 6P, you can give yourself +6. This guard break comes in handy from it because it's coming out of the already strong jab 3-hit jab string that jails on block, so you can get the opponent to attempt to eat this guard break sometimes. Alright, Jann Lee also has access to a P+K. This one is normally a powerful spacing tool, and it's best used to just basically kind of like, let's see if I can show you. It's best to just kind of create space with the opponent, as you see right here. Wax the opponent away. As you end up seeing on the move details, it was -7 on block, but yeah. P+K is basically get the hell back move. A fully charged 4-4P will also serve the same function. Like as you see right here, the second hit is a high. But yeah, so for knocking the opponent back, you have not that move. You have 4-4 PP or P+K. Alright, Jann Lee's throw game is a little below average in terms of damage, but makes up for it in terms of versatility related to the environment and properties they provide. Alright, just starting off, Jann Lee's main punish throw is 6T. Alright, a normal throw doesn't really do anything really that special. It gives you 45 damage and the opponent has a slight opportunity to like be able to tech out or whatever. But the throw actually can become quite interesting if you can do it at a wall. Because as you see right there, see if I can show again. You see, you have an opportunity to go into the dragon stance, and you can keep your offense up with the different dragon stance options. Like if you see like right here, for instance, if I were to show example again, if you go into Dragon Stance, if you look, you see the move detail or the move list changes, and you can see like different options that you can do out of the Dragon Stance. Like I ended up showing you earlier, but that is pretty nifty. Because as you can see right here, Dragon Stance has around 6 options, so that is pretty cool. But yes, you do get it. You do get that Dragon Stance. You do get it out of this 6T. Alright, so another notable throw is Jann Lee's 214T is his second most damaging throw. You want to use this throw when you want to get damage. Like here, I'll show it again. You see it right there. It looks pretty badass. Smacks the shit out of your opponent. So you right there, you get your 60 damage. But this wall also has a wall version, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Get that juicy 70 damage and with the face plant of your opponent. So yes, well, that's if you hit on the backs. But yes, 214T is really nice throw. Jann Lee also has access to quite possibly the most infamous move in DOA history, the Dragon Gunner. This right here is an online player's worst nightmare. Let's just slap on this movie. This 23 frame offensive hold will give you plus 25 advantage on contact, given a plethora of guaranteed option setups. Its offensive defensive nature tempts players to loop it and keep the opponent in a constant state of guessing. You can like use stuff like P6P or 6H+K as like follow-ups. Like if the opponent tries to like do a hold or something like that, so you can then end up like doing something like that. It just keeps you do that shit again. So yes, Dragon Gunner is a really good move. However, be careful that the move can be extremely unsafe because of both of its speed and startup and recovery. So you generally don't want to be whiffing that move too. You don't want to be whiffing that move too often. You don't want to be reckless with the Dragon Gunner. Like basically, reckless use of the Dragon Gunner is the #1 way of making Jann Lee's game plan come off as just one-dimensional and extremely predictable. And this is DOA. You don't want to be predictable, or you're going to get blown up. But as I alluded to earlier in the force tech section, Okazemi is basically a great scenario to use this move in, as it limits the opponent's options how to react. Okazemi means it's like when you like end up you knock the opponent down and they have to get up. Like right there, the AI just gets up automatically, but opponents will stay down for different reasons, or after a knockdown they might tech roll, and anytime when you have advantage on a wake up, you could try and sneak that move in. Alright, moving along to the holds, parries, and Tsubaki's here. Alright, because of his striker nature, Jann Lee's holds can also seem a bit below average. However, two particular ones allow for some flexibility and offensive pressure. Alright, Jann Lee's mid-punch hold gives him plus 24 when successful, allowing for like pressure and setups. Depending on the counter level, it can also lead to extremely quick critical burst situations, further encouraging its like precise and proper usage. I'll just show you what it looks like right now. Some of the move details. Get Ayane to throw out a nice juicy mid-punch. Alright, right there you see it gives you plus 24. You just do like a quick two quick kicks at the opponent. Alright, and another good counter hold or defensive hold to take note of is Jann Lee's high kick hold, which will lead to the Trace Gunner, which looks similar to, of course, Dragon Gunner. It only gives you one less frame advantage on hit at plus 24 as opposed to the normal plus 25. However, all regular setups from his Dragon Gunner are possible, making it one of the best holds in the game. I'll just show you right now just what it looks like. You see right there, you get plus 24, and it has a similar knockdown to the Dragon Gunner. Alright, Jann Lee is among the best when it comes to wall pressure. With his insane wall carry, wide range of wall splatting moves, and a wall throw, it's safe to say you don't want Jann Lee to push you to a wall. Alright, 9P, 6K, 4-6K is the wall combo for most situations. Here, I'll just show you it right now. Alright, the first combo I showed you there was with the 9P, 6K, 4-6K follow-up after a 6-6K wall splat. And the second combo, as you saw, was off of the 6T throw, which you see could be a little picky at times. Then you go into the Dragon Stance and do the Dragon Stance 6P+K there you saw with all the where you just bitch slap the opponent. To get out of that wall throw, the 6T follow-up, the opponent's only opportunity to get out of it would be to hold be able to hold that move, the 6P+K. Other than that, the rest of the combo would end up being guaranteed. So along with that throw, like this throw right here, really dangerous, or like this throw which I showed earlier, the quarter circle back 2-4T which I ended up throwing you from the throw game. Like both of those throws, along with the other massively dangerous wall slamming moves. Like 6K makes Jann Lee's wall game really, really dangerous. Alright, now here I'm going to show you a critical verse juggle with Jann Lee. Alright, that's it for now. I just want to thank you for staying with me on this short Jann Lee journey of the dragon. Alright, so I'll just go over some things to practice. Outside of pure fundamental knowledge, there isn't much that's demanded of Jann Lee. What I'd like you to do is just become familiar with what strings to delay in the various times. I'll let you know that stuff like his jab string and his like 6P strings are really good. You could slap on the move list and you can with the right stick you could scroll and it'll give you like a little visual of what like move you're doing and whatnot. And also, major tool to know what Jann Lee's also is a Dragon Gunner. What I'd also like you to do is just practicing like kind of the timings on his setups. I will give you a little tip or a little heads up more so that you might have to do like a little small dash or you'll have to dash in quickly after hitting the opponent with the Dragon Gunner before. I mean, in order for certain setups to work up, if you're using like a P6P as a follow up or like 6 H+K, stuff like that. I'll also let you know that Jann Lee's movement speed is a little below average, so he is a little slow compared to, let's say, someone here like Ayane who can move a bit quickly. So that's unfortunately something that you'll have to keep in mind. Also know that Jann Lee also has another move that can be inputted from crouch. That move right there, the Wild Rising 4-6P. This is the Dragon Knuckle. It is a great instant crush and damage and ender in certain situations. So becoming comfortable with the input and be able to do this move instantly might actually be something that you might be worth practicing. Alright, Jann Lee also has access to another pretty damn infamous and annoying move in the DOA series. The Dragon Kick. Quarter Circle Kick. Alright, this move's here sole purpose is to make sure that the opponent is paying attention to neutral. So this move's purpose is just as its existence to be something for the opponent to pay attention to. Because if they are paying attention to you, then yes, they can easily crouch and punish you, but if they do get hit, for instance, I mean, if they even manage to hit in close range, like you expect the opponent to block or something like that, this move comes out in 25 frames and does a crap ton of damage. Like, let's just take a look right here. Yeah, 92 damage in close hit in front of a wall of opponents. I mean, this move does good damage, even when not close hits, regardless if the opponent is blocking or not, then that does good damage. But yeah, the move can both be a blessing and a curse for you because you use it recklessly, you get blown up. But if you use it occasionally, and you can sneak it in here and there, and you can get off some nice dragon kicks on the opponent, and really the opponent will get mildly demoralized every time they get hit by that move. I also will give you a heads up that moves like 6K, well, if it knocks back, you see they have a built-in recovery animation. So if I were to show you right here, I think in front of a wall, the recovery, he doesn't do the little recovery thing, but if you do it like as a keep out move, here, you saw earlier how on the top part it says frame, it says 17 to 57. When I did it in front of the wall, it's at 17 to 27. So you see he has an extra 30 frames of recovery when he uses it as a knockback. But if he does it in front of a wall, he doesn't have the big recovery frame, so you can do a follow-up. But here you see there's a little recovery, so that is something that you have to be careful of, since this move, as you can see, is if it hits an opponent, it's mostly for keep out, but on an opponent's, let me see if I can show you. But on an opponent's block here, see your C's there, 27 recovery, and you're only -4 on block. So yeah, it's really. So yeah, so stuff like that you do have to watch out for, like that. Oh yeah, I just want you guys right now in the comments right now. Some of you might have heard that a little thing called Dead or Alive 6 is a thing. If you guys are excited for DOA 6, give me a hell yeah in the comments. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah, that is it for now. I'll just let you know that if you have any more further questions about anything, you can feel free to contact Force Nature on freestepdodge.com. You can also contact me on my YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. I also want to give out a gigantic shout out to Darkslay, who helped me out with a lot of the information for Jann Lee. So you could feel free to contact him too on his on Freestep Dodge or on his freestepdodge.com or on his YouTube and tell him how awesome his Jann Lee is. Like he does some great stuff with this character. I mean, he shows how dangerous this character can be. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, also feel free to check out my other character guides and other tutorials just to get a better feel for the game and just to get yourself all pumped up for DOA6. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Top Tier Tips.